China's Mars discovery shocked the world. What they found changes everything. Chinese scientists didn't go to Mars for headlines or glory. They went for answers. While NASA's rovers like Curiosity and Perseverance captured our attention with selfies and rock zaps, China quietly landed its own rover on the red planet, not for show, for science. Their target wasn't just the surface, it was what lies beneath. And now, years later, the data they've returned is causing shockwaves in the global scientific community. Because beneath the cold red dust, China's Zhurong rover may have found something that changes everything about Mars, about life, and about our future. In May 2021, China pulled off a nearly impossible feat. On their very first interplanetary attempt, they successfully sent an orbiter, lander, and rover to Mars, all in one mission. No one had ever done that before. The mission, Tianwen-1, which means Questions to Heaven, was named after a classical Chinese poem. But what it really did was send a warning shot into space exploration. China is not here to play catch-up. They're here to lead. Their rover, named Zhurong, after the god of fire, landed in a region called Utopia Planitia, a place that might have once been home to a Martian ocean. And it wasn't just a good landing. It was a precise strike on one of the most promising locations for evidence of ancient life. Zhurong began rolling across the Martian landscape, but unlike previous missions, it brought something new to the table: ground-penetrating radar. While NASA's rovers are mostly studying surface geology and atmosphere, Zhurong could peer beneath the ground, up to 80 meters deep. And what it found stunned scientists. Layer after layer of material, all arranged in a pattern that looked suspiciously like sediment laid down by flowing water. It wasn't just dust and rock. It was a record, a geologic time capsule of ancient Mars. And that's when people started to whisper, what if Utopia Planitia wasn't just a name? What if it really had been a utopia, a world of water, of rivers, of lakes, a world that may have once been alive? But it didn't stop there. Zhurong's radar began returning strange signatures, unusual underground structures that didn't quite make sense. Some experts believe these could be the remnants of lava tubes, formed when volcanic flows cooled and hardened from the outside in. Others think it might be frozen water, briny ice trapped below the surface. And that matters, because briny ice, salty and insulated, is one of the few environments where microbes can survive extreme conditions, just like extremophiles on Earth do in Antarctica or deep under the ocean. If there's still water beneath Mars's surface, then there's a possibility, no matter how small, that life, in some form, could still be clinging to survival right now. Then, in late 2022, the Chinese National Space Administration released something small, but potentially monumental. Hidden within the data from Zhurong's onboard spectrometer was evidence of organic carbon compounds. These weren't just carbon atoms, they were complex molecules, the kinds that form naturally in biology. That doesn't mean life was found on Mars, but it does mean the building blocks of life, the molecular framework that supports living systems, were there. Maybe they came from ancient microbial activity, maybe from chemical processes long since gone quiet, but they're there. And that alone makes this one of the most important Martian discoveries in decades. Then, silence. In December 2022, Zhurong failed to wake up from hibernation. After surviving a brutal Martian winter, it's believed the rover was suffocated by a thick layer of dust covering its solar panels. Dead, or maybe just sleeping. China has officially declared the rover inactive, but before it shut down, it had already traveled nearly 2 kilometers and returned a mountain of raw scientific data, most of which still hasn't been analyzed publicly. And that's what's so exciting. What else might be hiding in those files? What secrets might still be waiting to be discovered? China's next step? Nothing short of historic. They're now planning a Mars sample return mission, and they intend to do it before anyone else. NASA and the European Space Agency have been planning a similar mission for decades. China, they've already begun. If successful, it would make them the first nation in history to physically bring pieces of Mars back to Earth. That's not just a scientific milestone, it's a global shift in who leads the next era of exploration. Those samples would allow researchers to study Martian soil and rock in full detail, unlocking mysteries that rovers could never answer alone. Are there fossilized microbes, ancient biosignatures, strange isotopes we've never seen before? But there's a bigger question forming behind all this effort. What if Mars wasn't always a cold, dry wasteland? What if it was once Earth's twin? Same rocky surface, same potential for oceans, even the same chemical ingredients for life. And then, something changed. A planetary death spiral. The magnetic field collapsed. The atmosphere was stripped away. The oceans evaporated. Could the same thing happen to us? What killed Mars? And how do we stop it from killing Earth? China's quiet, methodical exploration of Mars is forcing us to confront that question. While other countries debate policy and budgets, China is building infrastructure. Their long-term goal? A Martian base. Real human presence on the red planet. Not just visiting, staying. They're already planning test missions to simulate Martian living conditions. They're studying how to grow food in Martian soil, how to extract water from the ground, and how to build structures using Martian regolith. They don't just want to know about Mars, they want to move in, and the implications go far beyond science. Whoever gets to Mars first, really gets there, won't just win a race. They'll control access to untapped resources, rare metals, water ice, even fusion fuels like deuterium. Mars could become the new frontier, not for flags, but for survival, power, and control in a post-Earth future. The space race of the 20th century was about who could reach the moon. The race of the 21st is about who can leave Earth permanently. And yet, through all this geopolitical drama, the real story might still be the planet itself, because Mars has stories to tell. Zhurong's mission peeled back just the first layer, and what it found already contradicts much of what we thought we knew. It found evidence of long-lasting water activity, organic materials, and possibly frozen pockets of briny water beneath the soil. It hinted at a Mars that didn't just flirt with habitability, it embraced it for millions of years. What lived there? What died? Could it come back? China didn't go to Mars to plant a flag. They went to pull back the curtain on a planet that may have once teemed with life, and could again. While Zhurong sleeps, its legacy continues to awaken a new age of Martian discovery. And when the sample return missions come back, when we hold that red dust in our hands, we may realize we were never alone in the solar system. We were just the last to arrive.